Okay, so today we're gonna start fundamental duties at the chapter 5. So firstly, we'll go with the introduction. As you know, there is also the chapter of fundamental rights. But the only difference between fundamental rights and fundamental duties is that जो fundamental rights होते हैं, they are justiciable and they are enforceable in nature. But it is not the case with fundamental duties. क्यों? Because they were added after the making of the constitution. They were added at the time of emergency because it felt that there's a need of some duties that are to be like it may be in the future that for instance कुछ चीजें हमें implement करनी पड़ी या like they need to make sure that we need to implement them at the time of emergency or at the time of different trials and tribulations when it comes to different aspects with regards to any situation whatsoever. So पहले कोई चैप्टर नहीं था रिगार्डिंग फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज एंड देन a committee was formed under Sardar Swaran Singh who was appointed for the recommendation of fundamental duties. So जो 42nd amendment act 1976 का उसने ऐड किया पार्ट 4A article 51 on fundamental duties for the first time in Indian constitution. Originally they were only 10 in number, but by 86th constitutional amendment of act of 2002 एक और ड्यूटी ऐड की गई. So now these are 11 in number. Now we'll go through a detailed a reading of what these fundamental duties are all about. So firstly is to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. So the first and the foremost fundamental duty is that हमें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के साथ जो भी इसके आइडियल्स है जो भी इसकी एस्पेक्ट्स है जो भी इसके यू कैन से रैमिफिकेशंस है वी हैड अवॉइड अबाइड बाय इट. Abide in the sense means हमें उसका पालन करना चाहिए. And we have to respect its ideals and institutions. Like जो भी constitutional institutions है, means the parliament, means the Rajya Sabha, the Lok Sabha, and the different constitutional agencies, different national institutions, हमें उनका respect करना पड़ेगा. And also of the national flag and the national anthem. Got it? To cherish and follow the ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Or look, we know that there is always a an Okay, so I was saying that, that the freedom struggle was a very empowering and it was a long moment. Like it was full of struggles, it was full of challenges and full of hurdles. But one of the fundamental duties is that कि हमें cherish करना होगा. Cherish in the sense we don't have to forget the sacrifices and the contribution that was made by our freedom fighters, which inspired our nation to gain freedom. So, and third is to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. जैसे हमने पहले पढ़ा कि India is a sovereign country, it's a unified country, and it is also made of integrity and other values that are enshrined in the preamble. So, this we had to make sure that we uphold and protect. And fourth is to defend the country. You know that कि बाकी countries जो होती है उसमें when it times for wars and other thing वहाँ पे reservist को बुलाया जाता है who are given training before. So because at the times of trials and tribulations, at the time of challenges, when it comes कि उनकी need पड़ेगी हमें, then they are called upon. So yeah, same is the case with India. For instance, one of the fundamental duties is that if you want to defend the country, तो आप नेशनल सर्विस को भी रेंडर कर सकते हो व्हेन यू आर कॉल्ड अपॉन टू डू सो. और पांचवा है टू प्रोटेक्ट हार्मनी एंड स्प्रेड ऑफ कॉमन ब्रदरहुड अमंग्स ऑल people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectarian diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to women. So, हाँ, it's all about brotherhood. You know that because India is a country where almost every religion exists and people of all communities coexist. So we need to make sure that we promote harmony, brotherhood, and we don't discriminate on the basis of religion, on the basis of language, on the basis of different sects, which is known as sectarian divide. And we also have to make sure that we end the practices that are derogatory to women. So yeah. Then to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. And we know that there are different cultures. There have been different cultures in the past, so we have to make sure that we value and preserve them. We don't have to do such things that eventually diminish the value of culture in the long run. So with the growing aspects of modernity, we don't have to make sure that we forget our roots. So that's why we have to make sure that we preserve our rich heritage of our composed culture. and also to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and had compassion for living creatures. And also, you know that India has a lot of flora and fauna, like the plant, vegetation, and the animal population. तो हमें मेक श्योर करना पड़ेगा दैट वी improve and protect forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and we have compassion for living creatures. Okay, and also to develop scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. It's all about like being logical and rational. Like सुनी सुनाई बातों पे believe नहीं करना है. Like you have to be very rational. You have to make sure that you provide your arguments and rational approach when it comes to different things. And we had to safeguard public property and to edge violence. Like आपको पता है, like at times of protest बहुत instances होते हैं when like people resort to vandalizing public property, but we don't have to do that. We have to make sure that we safeguard it, and we also have to make sure that we don't promote violence. Okay, and the 10th is to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective authority, so that nation constantly rises to the higher levels of endeavor and achievement. And also, we have to make sure that, like individually, we do our best. Like wherever we go, whatever we are doing, we make sure that we rise to the top. We work hard and make sure that we uh, like um, do something that we are proud of, and also our nation is proud of. And also to provide opportunities for education to his child or ward between the age of 6 and 14. So it was 86th amendment. It was a new amendment that was added. Like we had to provide opportunities for education between the age of 6 and 14. And you know that like between the age and 6 and 14 in government schools, education is free of cost, and also they are provided midday meals. So yeah, these were the 11 fundamental duties. So I'll just tell you to go through them so that you remember them. Okay. And now we'll read about the characteristics of fundamental duties, like the features or the aspects. So some of them are moral duties and some are civic duties. Look, some are connected to our moral character and some are connected to the civil character, like the societal aspect. To cite an example, cherishing noble ideals of freedom struggle is a noble moral duty. Look, for instance, we were not born when India achieved the freedom, or we don't know any of the freedom struggle leaders by person. But yeah, giving them respect and like cherishing them is a moral duty. On the other hand, we know that constitution, national flag, national anthem, it is all in front of us. We can see it, like we can read the constitution, we can hold the national flag, and we can sing the national anthem. So it is a civic duty. So these duties have certain values which have been a part of Indian tradition, mythology, religious, and practices. And like, look, all these 11 fundamental duties, they are in some way or the other, they are connected to the Indian tradition, mythology, religious, and practices. And the fundamental duties are confined to citizens only, do not extend to foreigners. For example, if a tourist comes from a different country, so these fundamental duties don't apply to him. They only apply to the citizens of India. Okay, and these fundamental duties are non-justiciable, as I have mentioned before, that these are non-enforceable. They can only be enforced when government wants them to, but they are also non-justiciable. Means if they are violated, you can't go to the court to defend them, as in the case of fundamental rights. So this was the chapter of fundamental duties. It's a short chapter. So yeah, you should go through it, and you should make sure that you remember the committee, you remember which part was added, you remember the Amendment Act, through which fundamental duties were added. You remember what are the fundamental duties, 11 of them, and you also remember the characteristics. Okay.